Hi and welcome. This time around I'd like to install this quick adjusting quill nut on my mill over here. It is an Acra and it is the first Acra that they made in China. They also have Taiwanese versions, which everything, the fit and finish is a lot better, and the price is about 2.5 times this one. This was the first machine I ever bought, so I didn't get the higher end model. If I had to do over, I would certainly do that. But I'm very happy with this. All in all, it works reasonably well and it's reasonably accurate. However, one complaint I've always had is the quill adjust, because at 20 threads per inch with 6 inches of throw, you have to do 120 revolutions to get this guy all the way to the top. And that is just plain annoying. So this guy is one potential solution to that problem. Pick this up at MSC, as you can see. There's the MSC part number. Hopefully that's in focus. And it is a quick nut, and basically it's a spring with a half-threaded central shaft that you can push in and disengage the threads. I don't know if you can see that. Push in and disengage the threads. So adjust this up quickly and set your stop and continue from there. I never end up using this because it's such a pain to get this thing set, and it's mostly because I'm lazy, I think. And hopefully now, if I'm doing repeatable depth cuts like chamfering, for example, I will use it once I get this guy installed. I also noticed the diameter of this is a little bit bigger, it looks like. I'll be interested to see how this fits. So a ton of stuff has to come off. The handle for sure. Then I've got to take off the entire DRO for the quill, the Michutoyo DRO for the quill. But in order to get to this Allen screw here, I might have to take more off. Hopefully I can just allow this part to shrink and this thing will pop off when I take these two screws out. I guess we'll find out. Let's start with that. So this is a bit strange, considering this is Michutoyo, is that these are standard threads, not metric. I was surprised to find that out. You're wondering what the magnet in this little bar is here. It's because the on-off switch broke off and the inch millimeter got damaged early on. Never hit it with much, just kind of defective. Very disappointing considering how expensive this scale is. So I use this little metal piece that's sort of blunt and round to turn this guy on and off. Just have a little magnet there to hold it. I thought I was gonna have to loosen this Allen screw, but it already was extremely loose and just came off on its own. So that's a little disconcerting. The original installation wasn't great because this is snugged. It just wasn't snugged enough. That part goes in here, tighten the set screw, and it expands one part of this, expanding in this portion right here, and that would let you get in there. That's very interesting. So this piece could come off. I don't need to take it off, I don't think, unless the diameter of this is such that it'll run into it. That'll be interesting. All right, so next over here, I got to take off this cover screw, and inside is a little dumbbell that you need to pull out. That is the quill release that releases the quill when you reach the stop. And that dumbbell can break and is a replaceable part. I've done videos on it before because I damaged one before. So let me pop this guy off. So the cover screw just unscrews very easily. It's a lot of parts to get to where you need to go. Inside there is the dumbbell. I don't know if you can see it. There you go, lined up. Maybe I'm on straight enough there. So I need to get a little screw in there. And I believe that's an M5, but let me go look. My apologies. It's an M3. So you just thread this in a little ways and pull the little dumbbell out, which has all kinds of crap on it, so it's probably not a bad thing that I pulled it out. So that releases the top of the quill. I've got to take off this C-clip next. Next up, pop off the C-clip so that this could slide down. And I'm not sure how far down it's going to need to go. Then I need to release this out of the bottom. So this is free. So it needs to drop through the bottom, but in order to drop through the bottom, this assembly has to come out, and I believe that's one screw holding it in the middle. this whole lever assembly, and I won't need to mess with the adjustment if I'm lucky. I just need to pop it out. So once this screw is out far enough, this guy popped down, which allows this guy to drop out. So now I just need to unthread this and drop it out the bottom, thread on the new one, and hopefully it'll fit. There's the shaft, which I'll be putting right back. And here is the Quill stop nut with locking nut removed. Now, it took a ton of threading to get the old one out, but the new one is quick release, so it should just slide right on, right? So I had to take the mount for the Mitutoyo DRO off, and I'm gonna have to machine some of that material off. The nut rotates okay, and it does quick release nicely, as you can see. So I'm gonna put the dumbbell assembly back. That involves having this piece sits in here, and then the dumbbell goes in the middle, like so. And then I unthread this guy and put the cover screw back on. And tighten that guy down. That was all straightforward. This guy I put back already, and I'm just going to clean up some stuff here a little bit, and then I'm going to take a little bit of material off the side of this guy, about 1/8 of an inch off this side, and we'll remount this guy up, and then it won't interfere with the rotation of this new one that is a little bit larger in diameter. So that was a surprise, but it does let you with a little difficulty and then you can do fine adjust once you're in place, and we're good. So if you were in this mode, then once this guy gets here, should release that like so. But now we can slide it all the way down and it won't be a pain in the butt. And slide it up when we need it. So I might actually start using this, although I gotta say that the push button is hard enough that it isn't trivial to do it. Maybe you just gotta get used to it. I can tell you the old one, I didn't like using at all, and I almost never did. All right, so let's set up to machine off the mount for the DRO and put the last bit back together. But as far as the milling machine's concerned, everything is back together and we are good to go there. There might have originally been a cover here. I bought this with the DRO on it, so there's probably a plate that went over here originally. This won't be hugely exciting, but I'm going to take 100 thousandths off this. And just so you know, this is aluminum, so should be very straightforward. All right, so now I can mount this guy back. It no longer interferes with the knob. It fits inside this piece nicely. So there's 2 screws, and you got to pay attention because the bottom screw is shorter because there's a moving shaft in here, and the top one is longer. So don't get those backwards. Also, this part was asymmetrical, and I thought about flipping it over because then it would be closer on the other side. However, it didn't look like it was going to mount quite as well. So I put it back the way I think they intended it, which is this way, and I'll have clearance now, plenty of clearance. Long screw on the top. If you get them backwards, you may score the shaft and cause problems with your power feed, so you don't want to do that. Alrighty, last but not least, I'm going to put the DRO back on. I got it roughly in place. This post, I loosened this set screw, or grub screw as they like to call them in other places. I'm just going to start these screws here if I can. Oh, you know what? Maybe I did not get this at the right spot. Let's see, did I? Will we have full range? Oh, yes, we will. Let me get these guys roughly aligned. Okay, there we are. We're aligned right there. So it's all the way over. Interesting that on my mill, that's how it mounts. I think your mileage may vary, or in other words, depending on what mill you have, the way it mounts could be somewhat different. They're probably all similar, but not identical. So it's interesting because you probably never need to tighten this up except to just keep your accuracy really high, because this guy is just sort of sticking in there anyways, but you probably don't want to slop it around. So there is a little bit of slop, so I will tighten it up. Just so that there isn't slop. There we go. Just want to expand that enough to fit inside this and not move around. Just want to make sure I have full range. And it looks like I do. Oh, that's interesting. Supposedly the Quill has 6 inches of range, but in reality, it would have 6 inches of range if the nut wasn't there, but it's got 5 inches of range. That's very interesting. And then I can pop this guy up and run a stop. And it repeats within half a thousandth or so, plus or minus half a thousandth. That's really good. So if I need to use this in the future, I won't hesitate, because now it's not a total pain to move. So there you go. Alrighty. That's the full install of the quick adjust knob. Hope you find it useful. Hope to see you next time.